Hey everyone, and welcome back to Lauren's Take. Happy New Year's Eve! It is a Percy Jackson review day. I am so excited to be talking about this, but my sister, Amber, has held me to a challenge. She wants me to try to review both episode 4 and both episode 5 in 20 minutes. Can we do it? Let's see. But before we get started, please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And let's get into it. Alright, I'm officially starting the timer for 20 minutes on my watch. Right here. 20 minutes starting now. Alright, so let's first get into episode 4 of it all. I'm not going to talk a lot about it because very much all on the boat, but there were huge Percy moments that I did want to touch on because we got two things from Percy last week. We got a situation in which our dude was like, how do you know this plan is going to work? Or Annabeth had asked him, like, how do you know this plan is going to work? And it's your plan. That's why I'm going to trust it. And then also another situation is when Annabeth was kind of dealing with all of the situations of just having to navigate all of the stuff that was going wrong in terms of the quest, in terms of dealing with what Luke had said, dealing with all of like the repercussions of it, coming back to the place where she and Thalia and Luke and Grover had to encounter the Cyclops situation, which is why she doesn't like or has a bad, kind of connection to Cyclops overall. And Percy was like, and she was like, I don't know if they're going to trust me. I don't know. He was like, it took 10, days or something, 10 years, something like for them to see how special she was. And he was like, it only took me 2 days. And I was like, ah! And I was like, oh my gosh, 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 oh my gosh. I'm really excited about those two major things in that episode. I also quickly wanted to touch on the importance of Clarice and how her growth through that episode and how it kind of got thwarted by the end really quickly in terms of, I was really glad that we got to see this part of Clarice and really got to, it was kind of like what I was talking about a little bit in the episode 3 review in terms of us being able to see kind of Clarice get to this point of really trying to grow, really trying to prove herself to Ares, but also prove herself to herself. And I think that was really great to be able to see her kind of grappling with that and still trying to figure out what decision to make. Then she kind of thwarted it and messed up and I was mad at her again, but it was like also that situation of her just not being able to fully trust herself, especially because there is so much riding on her to do well in this quest, but also there's so much riding on her with her being able to prove herself in this quest, where that goes from this place and that place. So I've really enjoyed being able to see that. I think Dior did a great job with that again in this episode. I also really loved the Percy and Tyson moments in this episode. The Percy and Tyson moments were just so cute and just so sweet. And I was just like, oh my gosh. But then also the fact that we lost Tyson in this episode, it was a lot. It was so much to deal with in terms of just like all of the emotions, because we just kept getting so many moments of just pure just loving Tyson. He's such a great character. Daniel is doing such a phenomenal job with him. And I think there was this really cool brother scene between Percy and Tyson that I really, really loved. And I'm not seeing enough people talk about it. It was just so perfect in terms of like Percy's really like, this guy, he's really cool. I really love Tyson. I really, be able to see that. And the fact that we get that right before he loses Tyson was insane. And then the whole belching in the ear thing was hilarious. I was just like, that's such a like teenage boy thing to do. And it's hilarious that he's doing it with his brother. But it was so sweet. I was just like, oh, this is so cute. But I think it's, again, Walker and Daniel doing such a great job of doing like these little things to kind of connect to the fact that they are really close and trying to, really show the brother aspects of it all. So I don't know if that was a director's choice or if that was a thing in the script or if it was just Walker. I don't know. I just really liked that. I thought that was just really cute to be able to see. Also, the huge water scene fight sequence situation was amazing at the end of the episode. They ate down with that. Walker as Percy slayed, but they added the stakes, having Annabeth almost fall off the boat and then all of them kind of get whipped up in the like cyclone in the water. That was amazing. Budget went up. I was here for it. It was so much fun. I enjoyed that, but it also really showed how painful it was. And then the whole Tyson situation of it all. Oh, it was a mess. I was crying. I love it so much. But yeah, episode 4 was actually a really good episode. So sorry I wasn't able to film it last week. But those are my thoughts on episode 4. All right, moving into episode 5. I only have 11 minutes, 45 seconds. Okay, let's go into it. So real quick, I really loved this episode because it was actually just only pretty much in Cersei's spa. I thought that was really cool, and as well as us being able to see what's going on with Clarice and what's going on with Grover. So I really love that we got to have a lot of time to like that, you know, break this down, really get into the weeds of everything, and there were just really some iconic moments that we had. And I was talking to Amber about this, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to like show the clip of me like losing my crap over something that happened, but I'm not going to. But what was so amazing about this episode, y'all, we got not one, but two huge things for Perciveth, and it was really because of Percy. And then we also had the siren scene of it all. Y'all know, if you are a book fan, you know that we have been waiting for the siren scene because we did not get it in the movies. Of course we didn't. And it's one of the things that we just... It is probably one of the most pivotal moments for Percy and Annabeth because of what happens. And I was so excited that the show added even more depth to it, made us gagged in the scene of it all. And I was just like, this is everything. But real quick, I do want to talk about some of the things that I did not necessarily like in this episode, because while there were so many amazing things for Percival, so many cool things with Clarice and Grover, there were a lot of things that I was not really feeling. So the big thing that I didn't necessarily like, and I think I know why they did the changes, but it just, to me, it took so much away from what we got in the book in terms of the scene, in terms of the only people around or paying attention genuinely were Percy and Annabeth, and then it was Cersei, and then is it Gila and the... I think it's Gila, because this is when we first actually get a connection to Rhaena, who's in was I about to say Camp Jupiter? No, who's in Heroes of Olympus, a very big character, and we end up finding out that Rhaena was actually a little girl that Percy and Annabeth saw when they were at Cersei's spa. But it's not, that was not the case. It was a ton of people in this place. We also had to deal with Percy dealing with the loss of Tyson and all of that, and I thought that was amazing. All of the things with Percy and Annabeth, like individually as characters, perfect. That was great. My problem was the spa itself, because we saw a ton of men, we saw a ton of women, and they were fine. They were fine. And I was like, what are we doing here? What are we paying attention to? I don't know what's happening. I don't know. It was something that I just didn't necessarily think worked, in terms of just like, I think they added so much that it was so unnecessary. Just being completely honest. And I think, like, at least the first part with the Stavros character, he was there trying to run in, and he was trying to, you know, I think he was definitely serving as an example of why we're going to be terrified of the siren scene for folks who have not read the books. But I think for me personally, and maybe I'm being a little shady, but as Walker says consistently, the books have been out for over 20 years at this point. And if you still haven't read them, what is wrong with you? Just read them. Like, oh my gosh, just please read them, because I think this episode, because there was so much lore in this in terms of just Greek mythology, as well as just like, you know, if you're really paying attention to what's happening in Greek mythology, as well as the Odyssey, as well as just Percy Jackson in general. But there was a lot of things that they had to add in for, I think, just show watchers. And for me, I thought it kind of took away from the overall point, because it was just too much going on. I don't know if I'm the only one. Please comment down below your thoughts. But that was something that I really just didn't like about how they kind of formatted this episode. Like, it worked in terms of it set up great things for Perciveth, and I'll get to that in a second. But for the most part, it just added unnecessary drama that I didn't really want, didn't really need. And I think it definitely was more so just for people who have not read the books. And for me, that frustrates me, because I'm like, as someone who's read all of the books numerous times, and also has read the Odyssey multiple times, being the English major that I am, and also just being an English student in America, it's like one of those things of just like, why are we going through this? I think it was just, there was so much going on that I was just getting, like, I was like, what is happening? And my sister is like, wait, does this happen in the book? Or does this happen? Like, she's read, like, most of Sea Monsters. She still hasn't finished it. Hopefully she will finish it. But she was like, I don't remember all of this. I said, yeah, because it wasn't in there. And so I think that's where it's just like, I don't know. That kind of fell flat for me. Let me know how y'all think. I think the biggest thing that did work in terms of what Percy saw in the mirror. This was something that was directly from the book that I was really excited about, in terms of Percy seeing everything kind of that went wrong, instead of him seeing like all of his flaws, but then the where he wants to be. I think this was good because then it wasn't just purely just based off of his looks. It actually kind of helped him see a little hint into what his fatal flaw is. And this is also like my qualm. I don't know if I'm excited that we know what his fatal flaw is. I think it would have been great if we would have been able to delve into that a little deeper. I think what I did appreciate about this is that it led us into probably one of the biggest things that has happened in this show, in terms of a Perciveth moment. In terms of Percy runs out of the office after Cersei tells him that his fatal flaw is that he will put, saving his friends above anything, in terms of like, if it was between his best friend in the world, he would probably save his best friend, thus putting the world in danger. And so, of course, that ties directly to the quest, or ties directly to the Great Prophecy, which is going to be a huge thing, of course, for the rest of the series. But it was also just really intense for Percy, because he's like, crap, this is a problem, this is a problem. Then Annabeth runs after him, and then he was like, Annabeth, this is not good. And she was like, Percy, it's okay, we can manage it, we can deal with it, we can do it. She was like, no, what that means is if there's a situation where I have to save you or save Olympus, I would burn it all down. I was like, the heck? Child, like, when I tell you, Amber and I had to pause the show, get ourselves together, because what? I burn it all down. Then, in the scene, he then was like, if it's between Grover and saving Cam, oh my gosh, that's an easy choice. But if it's between saving you or saving Grover, Annabeth, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I was like, and Annabeth over here just like, what is all of this? Like, there's so much. That poor baby is just like, there's a lot going on here. And so the fact that they do this, and I was laughing at Amber in terms of saying, or laughing with Amber more so, and we were thinking about how episode 5 in season 1, of course, is like one of the biggest Perciveth episodes, like stronger even more. And it was funny because in that episode, we gave Percy the episode, Percy, you're going to find out Jackson, because, he was threatening Ares. And so we kind of get that scene here where he's like, Percy, I'm going to burn it all down, Jackson. And I'm like, you know what? Okay. So that was hilarious. That was amazing. And just how both Walker and Leah just did such a phenomenal job of demonstrating like what that genuinely means in terms of the whole scheme of the world, but also them as friends and them as potential lovers in the future, boyfriend-girlfriend situation, for Percy and Annabeth. And I think that's something that I really, really think they did a phenomenal job with. All right, I only got 2 minutes, 20-something seconds. Let's get it done. So, the siren scene of it all, and also how Percy got turned into a guinea pig. It was crazy. I thought that scene was so, like, that whole thing, it was good because it gave us a little more insight into Cersei. So that was something that was, again, for show watchers that I appreciated. I thought that was good. It kind of gave us that connection to Medusa as well in season 1 that I really liked. I liked how they did that again. But for it to all just turn into Percy then having to get turned into a guinea pig and the whole wax of it all and all of that, I think it made sense for the readers, and it made sense for the show watchers only, and then I think it added a little more context for even book readers. So that scene was a little better in terms of everything. And then how Annabeth figured out every single part. That girl, Leah, ate down. She ate down. That was so, so cool. I really loved that. And then seeing like Percy like with the water situation. Yes, that was amazing. But the siren scene of it all, I literally was like, as we were watching it, telling Amber, I was like, oh, I hope they show what she sees. And it was a little different from the book, but it was interesting because it was like Percy, Luke, Grover, and Percy and Luke arguing. Grover's trying to mediate it, and then it's really basically showing how Annabeth is dealing with not knowing how to navigate this situation, because she's like, do I go on this side? Do I go on this side? Where do I go? Grover's like, you gotta figure it out. Then she kills all 3 of them, or Grover turns more into the siren, but then she defeats him, or Athena comes out of nowhere. What? Oh my gosh, Androday slayed. Yes, Androday comes in as Athena, comes in, kills the siren, or so we think. And then Annabeth is like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were watching. And she's like, I was always watching, but then it was another trick. And I was like, ooh, I love this. But my poor girl, Annabeth, then Percy comes out of nowhere, pulls her off of the island, throws her in the water, puts her in there, and we're good. Pain. And then their conversation of just like how they both needed each other in order to get through this point. And he was like, she was like, if you would have stayed at camp, I would have been Siren Chow. And then he was like, and I just wouldn't have made it. He was like, because she was like, what did you see? And then he was like, genuinely just you. Oh no, my 20 minutes is up. I'm almost done. Literally, he was like, literally just you. And I was like, OMG. And I think, I remember them talking about them filming the siren scene. Walker and Leah talking about filming the siren scene. I think this is like one of the press videos that we got back in Comic-Con, or it was something. It was at some point. I remember this. And I really loved it because they were like, we're going to really delve deep into that scene. We're going to go past just, have the conversation move on, because this was the conversation that we get instead of Annabeth then telling him about the Great Prophecy. So I think now, with us having the Great Prophecy in mind in terms of how that's going to affect Percy, all of that situation, I think it helps us to really delve into what Percy is really up against, what's Annabeth really up against, because she is, such a best friend of his. We also know at this point Annabeth likes Percy, so she's just like, I don't know what to do. This is such a torn situation because duty, this, that, and whatever. Her dealing with pride as well. I love that they really delved into that. I think there were a lot of cool things within this episode that really connected to that overall. So that was just really, really cute. But I really love that both of them basically say, like, you saved me, we saved each other situation. And I think it's going to be so important because that's kind of like the pivotal moment for Percy and Annabeth to really like, this is my person. Like, they're going to have my back, ride or die. We're going to fight to make sure they're good. And I think that was so good. And also, real quick, coming back to the I Burn It All Down Jackson of it all, that was also, to me, a real big sneak peek into what's going to happen in season 3. Because for my people who are show watchers, I'm sorry if I shaded you a little bit in this one. If you have not read Titan's Curse, and my folks who have read Titan's Curse, you know that that is huge because, spoiler alert, Percy and Annabeth get separated because of a Titan, and it's really, really, really intense. It's a whole situation, and our dude Percy loses his crap. He loses his crap, very much so, and it's going to be something he's dealing with for the whole book. He deals with it in a whole book. He's going to deal with it the whole season. Walker has been talking a lot about this lately, and so I'm really, really excited about how they're going to mesh out everything with that, and it's going to be great. So I think that was like a real sneak peek into how Percy is like, you know what, to heck with it. Annabeth is missing. I gotta go get my girl. And basically it's the same situation here, where he was like, if it's between you and Mount Olympus, it's you that I'm picking and I'm saving. I could care less about everything else. Sorry. But, yeah, there's a lot of things there. I really love this episode. The siren scene was chef's kiss. I really enjoyed this episode. There were definitely some things that could have been better, but overall, I enjoyed it. All right, y'all, that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. That was the challenge. I went a little over 20 minutes, probably like 22 minutes. But thank you for watching. I hope you have a wonderful New Year's Eve today, and also the next time I make a video to be 2026, so let's turn up. I can't wait. It's gonna be great. Can't wait for next week's episode as well, because they will finally be going to Polyphemus's island. Oh my gosh, I did not talk about Clarice and Grover at all. I'm so sorry. They're great. I really enjoyed it because I think it added more to what happened with them, and I really enjoyed that portion of it. There wasn't anything huge necessarily about it, but I love that we got to see the connection to the empathy leak of it all for Grover, and how he knew that Percy was okay. So that was really good. I'm really glad that they included that. And then also Polyphemus actually being smart, and it made sense. He was like, y'all have tried me before. I'm not going to be, tricked again. And so I really actually did enjoy that, because I think that's going to add some complexities to the to next episode in terms of Percy trying to come in and do some things, Annabelle trying to do some things. It's going to add some more depth to it. So I'm excited to see how that turns out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Please give this video a big thumbs up. Don't give it a thumbs down. That's just rude. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Have a wonderful, happy new year, and I shall see y'all in 2026. Bye.